All right, greetings, ladies and gentlemen. Today you are part of a very special group. You are the very first group that has ever done something like this with the class that I've taught. I've taught for 8 years and I've never done something like this. You are the first class to watch a video about me teaching without me being there monitoring you and making sure you're watching the right video. That's right. You're going to be watching this video at home. I have never done this before and I'm so excited for you to be doing this. All right. Let me tell you about some expectations I have for this, okay? Because since you're going to be at home, this is kind of considered your homework right now. Here are my expectations for your homework. The first expectation is that you have to watch the entire video. It's not going to be that long. It'll be 10, 15 minutes tops. Okay, so that's not that long. The second thing I expect you to do is I expect you to answer all of the questions. Now I'm going to have most of the questions filled out for you. Okay, so it's not a matter of trying to figure them out on your own. It's just a matter of following along and copying and putting the questions down. The third thing I expect from you to do is to go ahead and at least try and put answers down for the questions that I do not give to you. I'm going to leave one or two answers open for you to answer on yourself to really test you. I expect you to put something down. I do not want to see question marks. I do not want to see blanks, okay? I want to see you at least try on this, okay? If you're not correct, it's okay. We're going to go over this when we come back to school. Now, the last thing I expect you to do is I expect you, if you have questions, to come in and ask me questions. Ask me how we did this. Because what we're going to do is when we come back the next day, we're going to take this idea and we're going to go ahead and expand on it. We're going to go ahead and really think deeply about this topic. With that being said, let's get started. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and take a look and see what we're doing. We are doing a lesson on elapsed time. Now you might be thinking to yourself, wait, we've done this already. And that's true. But this was a subject that I thought that we really struggled with and we never really got control of. So we're going to come back and we're going to go ahead and take control of it. Here's what we're going to be doing. It says to complete the table by writing the time shown on the clocks and filling in the elapsed time. So we're going to go ahead and fill in the times down here and we're going to figure out the elapsed time. Remember elapsed time. Elapsed time is simply how much time has gone from 1 hour to a second hour, or from one time to a second time. That's what we're going to be figuring on. And believe it or not, we're actually not even going to worry about this first time right here. The reason is because there are some questions as a teacher that I don't like. And I really don't like this first question. So we're going to go ahead and skip that and dive right into the second one. Now don't get your hopes up. We're not going to be doing this every time, skipping questions every time. But in this case, I want to skip that first question. All right, if I zoom in just a little bit here we have our first two times right there. Now, as a reminder, this is a review from yesterday. Let's go ahead and fill out what these times are. Notice our hour hand right here. Our short hour hand, is between the 10 and 11. Notice it hasn't gone to the 11 yet. It hasn't crossed into the 11 yet. Remember, from here all the way to here, this is all 10 zone. So this means that the hour right now is 10. Well, 10 what, you might be asking? The next step is to do our minute hand. A nice long minute hand right there. Remember, with our minute hand, we think to ourselves, each of these minutes have a special 5-minute interval assigned to them. In this case, the 4 goes with 20 minutes. So right now, it is 10:20. So go ahead and put 10:20 on that blank right there if you haven't. If you need more time, go ahead and pause this. So now, let's go ahead and go to the next one. The next one, ladies and gentlemen, our hour hand is right here. And notice, it's in between the 1 and the 2. It hasn't crossed into the 2 yet. It's still in that 1 zone. Everything from here to here is in that 1 zone. So that makes it 1. And let's take a look at our minute hand. It's on the 5. Now remember, this is actually 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15, 20, 25. So that makes it 1:25. So go ahead and put that on your blank if you haven't already. All right, here's what we're going to do. We're going to go ahead and find the time interval. The time interval, ladies and gentlemen, is simply how much time goes from 10:20 to 1:25. And you might be thinking, why do we have to do this? Well, the reason we do this is it's important to know time intervals between two different times. Let's just say that I want to know how much time it takes from 10:20 to 1:25. You can tell me what time it is. I can say, hey, you know what? What if I needed to be at a special meeting from 10:20 to 1:25? How much time do I have to get to that meeting? Well, now we can figure out how much time we would have. To figure out the time interval, what you need to do is start with the hour hand. Let's figure out how many hours this hour hand goes by. Okay? Well, let's take a look here. We have to get from this 10 right here all the way to this little 1. So what I like to do sometimes, I like to go ahead and just put my little mark right there. Or if I wanted to, I can put my mark right there. What that's doing, it's showing where we're starting at. Start, start, and when we're ending at. End, end. So we're trying to get the S to the E. All right? So now, let's take a look and see. Every time it crosses a new number, it's a new hour. So there's 1 hour. There's 1 hour. 2 hours. 2 hours. You might be thinking, why am I doing 2 clocks? Just I want to show you on both clocks. And finally, we come to this one, 3 hours. 3 hours. Okay, so far we know that it's 3 hours so far. So if you haven't already, go ahead and put 3 hours in for our time interval. All right, so that's our hour. Hour's pretty simple. I'm going to go ahead and erase that. Let's take a look at our minutes. Minutes can be difficult if we let them be, but we're not going to let them be. Again, here's our first interval. There it is at our 20. And again, I'm just going to go ahead and draw that, show at our 20. And this needs to get all the way down to the 5 where that is. So this time, we're going to go ahead and count by minutes. Well, we know this is 20 and this is 25, and we know the difference between those two is 5 minutes, or you could simply count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 minutes. So we know it's 3 hours, 5 minutes. That is the time interval between these two times. So go ahead, if you haven't already, go ahead and put that in for me, please. Go ahead and pause it if you need to. All right, that being done, again, we have 3 hours, 5 minutes. Let's go ahead and move it on down. Moving on down to our next one. All right, first things first, I want you to go ahead now. What I want you to do is I want you to go ahead and figure out what this time is and what this time is. Again, go ahead and pause this video to figure out what these two times are. That's the first step when figuring out time intervals. Did you come up with 3:45 and 9 o'clock? Well, here's how you did. If you did, good job. Give yourself a pat on the back if you did. But if you didn't, here we go. Here's our hour hand. It hasn't reached the 4 yet. That means it's still in the 3 zone. So there's where we get our 3. There's our minute hand. Remember, we have 15, 30, 45, 00. Those are our quarter hours right there. And this one's at our 45. Now let's look at our 9 o'clock. And let's look at our hour hand. This one's right on the 9. And this one's right on our 00. So there's our 00. All right, so now to figure out the time interval, remember, we want to go ahead and figure out what is the time between 3:45 and 9 o'clock. How much time is in between those? First things first, let's start with the hour hand. Okay, let's go ahead and start with the hour hand. So when we start with our hour hand, again, we want to get from here all the way, up to where this is at. So our hour hand and minute hand are kind of switching around. So again, I'm going to go ahead and put my hour hand right there. And so here's what we're going to do. It's going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and look how close it is. Oh man, look how close that is right there. All right? Now we have a decision to make. We can continue to move our hour hand, but the problem is it's going to take us past where our hour hand is right there, and we cannot go past that. So here's the deal. Our hour hand has gone as far as it can go. Let's remind ourselves. It's gone 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 hours. Okay, so here's what's going to happen. It can't go anywhere past 5 hours. So now comes the minute hand. Now comes the minute hand. All right? So let me go ahead and just erase that. Now our minute hand, remember, our minute hand is actually starting right here. And our minute hand needs to get from here all the way up here. Remember, it starts here, and you need to get all the way up here. Okay? So now let's go ahead and try this. Remember, 5-minute intervals between each of these. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. So this has gone on for 5 hours, 15. I'm going to go ahead and abbreviate minutes right there. 5 hours, 15 minutes. Wow. That's a little bit of a tricky one. And if you haven't already, go ahead and put 5 hours and 15 minutes in. All right, here comes our last one. Again, this is basically all we have to do, our very last one. Let's take a look here. First things first, let's go ahead and figure out the time. You can do this. So go ahead and pause this, figure out what the time is. Did you come up with 6:50 and 7 o'clock? Again, if you did, give yourself a pat on the back. If you didn't, that's okay. Let's look at it a little bit more in detail. Here's our hour hand. Okay. Let's take a look here. It's between the 7 and the 6. It hasn't reached the 7 yet, so we don't worry about that 7. It's all in the 6 zone. That's why it's a 6 for 6 hours. And let's look at our minute hand. Remember, we have 0, 0, 15, 30 on that 6, 45, okay, 45, 46, 47, 48, 49, 50. That's how we get 650. Now let's look at this one. This one shouldn't be too hard. Our hand's right on the 7. So there's our 7. Minute hands right on those zeros. There's where we get our zeros from. Now we have to figure out the time interval. Now this one again, the first thing we want to do is we want to go ahead and focus on the hour hand. Let's focus on that hour hand. The hour hand is right here, and believe it or not, we just have to go right here. Again, the hour hand started there, and we just have to go right here. Now, if we take our hour hand to where this is at just an hour later, it's going to come back here. Uh-oh, already we have gone too far, because we are not, and I repeat this, we are not allowed to pass this hour hand. We are not allowed to pass this hour hand. We are not allowed to pass, I should say not that hour hand, sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself. We are not allowed to pass this hour hand, meaning this one over here. Okay? So then, that means we are not going to have any hours, believe it or not. We're going to have to go right up to our minutes. So here's our minute hand, and it's going to have to get all the way up here. So check this out. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Ah, so guess what? The only interval for this one is 10 minutes. That is the time interval for that one. All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for participating in this. By the looks of my video, we're under 15 minutes. Hey, that's not too bad for the first time. Make sure your name is on this. When you come in tomorrow, you're going to go ahead and give this. We're going to take this out during math. All right? Thanks a lot again, and I'll talk to you later.